After all the dust from free agency and the draft has settled, has the NFC actually opened up for the Rams? That's next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you click that subscribe button and get everything you need on the Locked On Podcast Network. You can also check us out on YouTube. Our Locked On Rams YouTube channel is a good way to get your podcasts as well. My name is Travis Rogers. Not only am I your host for Locked On Rams, but I also host the Rams pregame and postgame show on their flagship station, ESPN 710. I've been doing that since the Rams came back to LA in 2016. And what a ride it has been. And of course, coming off of a Super Bowl championship last year, we're already looking forward to defending that title as Rams fans along the way. Some things that we're going to talk about today is where is the trap game in that Rams schedule? We know the games that are going to be tough. You know that the Bills and the Packers and the Bucs and the Chiefs and the Chargers, these are going to be tough games. But some of those games that maybe you feel like you got in your back pocket, which of those could jump up and bite you on the backside? That's coming up in a little bit. Plus, Allen Robinson, the newest Ram wide receiver, he has some thoughts on what he thinks he might be able to do in the Rams offense. That's coming up as well. But let's get right to it. So, free agency mostly over. The draft over. We know that there's probably still some free agent acquisitions and some undrafted free agents that are going to be, brought in here or there. Some other guys can get released. Maybe there's going to be some other activity there, but more or less, you kind of know who's got what going into the 2022 season. And of course, the Rams have lost some guys along the way, and they've improved some guys, or I should say, added some guys along the way as well. I just mentioned Allen Robinson a minute ago. We'll talk about him, but I think probably all things being equal, the Rams have added a lot of good pieces, and they've lost some good pieces as well. You know, I've said it a million times. Andrew Whitworth's absence, I think, is going to be a very, very big deal. We'll see how Joe Nopum does right there. I think that Von Miller's absence could be potentially a big deal. We'll see whether or not that they can find somebody, or whether somebody can step up like a Terrell Lewis who can maybe grab that by the horns and go from there. But I don't think that there's any questions that when you look at the NFC, there are three teams, maybe you can make a case for a fourth, who I'll throw in here in a second, that are going to be the heavy favorites in the NFC. Like, let's go to the AFC very quickly. And I'm not saying that you think they're the team, but if you just kind of close your eyes and imagine, could you see the following team in the Super Bowl next year? The Bills, for sure. The Kansas City Chiefs, for sure. The Denver Broncos, yeah. Russell Wilson coming along, absolutely. The Chargers, yeah, it's not totally far-fetched. The Raiders, could they be in there? Yeah, I think they could. You go to a team like Indianapolis, maybe not. You don't maybe love what you're seeing right there. New England, probably not along the way. You come out here in the West and you look at a team like the Denver, all four of those teams there. So you're looking at five teams along the way. The Baltimore Ravens, yeah, there's number 6. You talk about the Cleveland, let's say Deshaun Watson plays well. Like, he's probably going to have to sit down for a little bit, but the Browns, it would be a shock if they're in the Super Bowl. Maybe not. There's 7 teams right there. Now go to we didn't even mention the Bengals. Bengals are the defending AFC champs. Could they go back? Of course they could. They just did it. So there's 8. So the point being, there's a lot. To pick your way through the AFC is going to be complicated because there's just a whole bunch of good teams, and an injury at the wrong time to the wrong player, a bad game at the wrong time. It could happen. Go to the NFC. The NFC feels entirely different. There are, I think, 3 teams as you sit here right now and say to yourself, do I have to imagine something bizarre happening for them to end up in the Super Bowl? The Rams? Absolutely not. The Green Bay Packers? No, absolutely not. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers? No, not really. Those are the 3 teams that you feel like, yeah, I mean, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, sure. Aaron Rodgers, sure. The Rams going back-to-back, yeah, it doesn't seem far-fetched at all. Maybe you can throw the Dallas Cowboys in there. Maybe. But I would present you with this if you're a Cowboy fan, and I know that there's a million of them out there. Why should I think the Cowboys are going to do anything in the playoffs when they haven't done anything in the playoffs in 30 years? right? It's not like Dak Prescott's brand new. It's not like Mike McCarthy is brand new. It's not like Jerry Jones is all of a sudden going to be less involved in what's going on. It's not like the Cowboys have a bunch of new players. They're going to do a bunch of new things. Cowboys have kind of been remarkably consistent in being remarkably uninspiring when it comes to the biggest games of the year. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're okay, but the Cowboys have really not filled you with, oh man, we got to go beat the Cowboys. So yeah, we can go beat the Cowboys. It's been the Rams have had good luck against the Cowboys. So maybe they're in it. I would argue that they're probably not. So now we're down to 3. We're down to Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Los Angeles. Those are the 3 teams that feel like the most likely NFC teams to get back. So the Rams play those 2 teams. The Rams will be on the road for both of those teams. But let's talk about, I just mentioned what the Rams have lost. It's Whitworth, it's Von Miller, it's Austin Corbett, it's Darius Williams, and, they're going to have to replace those players. Are any of those guys linchpin guys to what you're doing? I would argue maybe Whitworth, but no to everybody else. That the linchpin guys that you have there, you're talking about Aaron Donald, you're talking about Cooper Kupp, you're talking about Matthew Stafford, you're talking about Jalen Ramsey, and quite frankly, you're talking about Sean McVay. All those guys are coming back, and you feel pretty good about where they are in these things. What about the linchpins in Green Bay? They lost one. Davante Adams is on the Raiders. Look, if Cooper Kupp's not the best wide receiver in football, it might be Davante Adams. Okay, the number one target that Brett Favre, boy, how old am I? That Aaron Rodgers is throwing to is now a member of a different team. And they are not as good a team as they were last year. And last year they went 0-1 in the playoffs. Now, it was a weird one. It's snowing. It's the 49ers, all of those things. But they're a little bit worse than they were a year ago. So that gives the Rams maybe a small advantage. That's going to come down to home field advantage or big play and all those things. I get it. But if you're looking at the Rams, they're more or less what they were. If you're looking at the Packers, they're a little bit less than what they were. And the other team that you look at in the NFC West, or excuse me, the NFC, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady's back. Tom Brady's a dangerous man, goes without saying, right? Can I just throw this out there when it comes to Tampa? And I know that they gave the Rams a scare in the playoffs, and I know that the Rams nearly spit the bit on a huge lead. Fact of the matter is they didn't. They found a way to win the game on the road in a tough environment against the greatest player of all time, and Tom Brady. Found a way to do it. But it's not just that. They've beaten Tom Brady. They've played him 3 times as the quarterback of the Bucs. They've beat him 3 times. Jared Goff beat him in Tampa Bay on a Monday night. Matthew Stafford and the Rams beat them early in the season last year at SoFi Stadium. They went on the road and beat them in Tampa in the playoffs. Tom Brady is going to be 45 years old. Is he still really good? Yes. Is he still dangerous? Yes. Are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to be as good as they were a year ago? I think probably not. I don't think Tom Brady's getting better. He may be exactly the same, but I don't know if he's getting better. Is Mike Evans getting better? I don't know. Chris Godwin? I mean, maybe. They're not going to have Antonio Brown. They didn't have him in the playoffs last time, but Gronk is almost certainly not going to be there. That this feels like a team that is just kind of stagnant. That's kind of where they were a year ago. And if you're looking at the lay of the land, the one team that can honestly look themselves in the mirror and say, are you a little bit better than last year? Potentially, could you be a little bit better than last year? I think it's the Rams. The Cowboys are about the same. The Packers are decidedly worse without Davante Adams. And I think that the Tampa Bay Bucs are kind of right there. Again, injuries, bad luck, schedule, all of these things kind of factor into how a team's going to do. But my goodness, when you start looking at where they are and what they might be able to knock out, it's looking more and more open the more you look at it. Cross your fingers that the injury bug goes the right way for the Rams. And then all of a sudden, the rest of that stuff kind of takes care of itself. Okay, coming up next, I want to talk about Allen Robinson, what he thinks he might be able to get done in this Rams offense. But not before we talk about our friends at BetOnline, right? Did you get down on the PGA? Have you made some baseball future bets, some MVPs? These are all the things I've been telling you about. And that's why our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your sports betting needs and sports information. Find all the latest odds, sports, and developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, winding down on those, Major League Baseball scores, fights, even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so the biggest acquisition I think that the Rams have made during the offseason free agency, of course, was wide receiver Allen Robinson, who comes to the Rams as already a very decorated NFL player. He's been in the league for 8 years. He is proven that he knows what he's doing in this league. He's had 1,000-yard seasons a small handful of times. He had a 1,400-yard season. He led the league in touchdowns one year. He has been really, really good, despite the fact that he's been on some very, very bad teams. So he was talking about what it's like for him to be here with the Rams and what he might be able to accomplish in 2022, his first year of wearing a Rams horns helmet. Here's what he said. Coach McVay and the offense that he's put together, an offense that these guys run, it's been a tough offense in the league for a reason. I truly believe that it'll bring the best out of me and I'll be able to display all the elements of my game. Now, when I read something like that, it always kind of feels like, well, what else are you going to say? You didn't say I come here. I just, I got to check. I like the sunshine. I like to be around movie stars. I mean, they're not going to say whatever it might be, but I think that this is one of these kids. He couldn't be more right. Right. Think about what we're talking about with Allen Robinson. You ever say he's had 3,000-yard season. He had a 1,400-yard season. He's had a 14-touchdown season. Name a quarterback he played with. Name a good team that he was on. Name a coach that he played with. Name another high-level teammate of his that was going to draw some attention along the way. Not super easy to do, right? So here's what he's going to get when he comes into this team. He's going to come in, number one, with the best quarterback he's ever played with in his life. There's no more Blake Bortles or Mitch Trubisky's or a guy like Josh Fields who's just getting started. He is coming in with a guy that's got a pedigree just about as good as anybody in this league. Like, it's not Aaron Rodgers and it's not Tom Brady, but Matthew Stafford, as we've known really going back from his time in Detroit, there's not a throw he can't make. He's going to try to force some in there occasionally. There's going to be a mistake here and there. But if you got Matthew Stafford, you're throwing the football, the delta between what he has and what he's getting is massive. He's the best quarterback he's played with by 1,000,000 miles. So now all of a sudden, whatever he's been doing with these guys, it's going to be a little better. Add in the fact that he's with arguably the most creative offensive mind in football, in Sean McVay. Sean McVay is not the coaching staff in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sean McVay is not Matt Nagy and the coaching staff in Chicago. Okay, this is a guy who in 5 years as an NFL head coach has been to the Super Bowl twice, won it once, won the division 3 times, and only missed the playoffs once, and that was by 1 game. Okay, this is the best coach he's ever had by 1,000,000 miles. This is the most creative coach he's had by 1,000,000 miles. Multiply that by the best quarterback he's ever had. Yeah, I feel pretty good about the opportunities that he might have to show all of the aspects of his game. We're not even done with the list yet. What about the best teammate he's ever had? Has he ever had a teammate as good as Cooper Kupp? No. Okay, who's the number one option on the Rams? Cooper Kupp. Okay. Who might be the number 2 option on this team? Maybe Odell at some point if they ever comes back and he's healthy and he's ready to go. But all of a sudden, instead of when you go to play the Rams, or you go to play, I should say, when you go to play Jacksonville, or when you go to play the Chicago Bears, and you're getting ready to game plan against that team, what are you thinking about? Okay, how do we deal with Allen Robinson? It's probably the first thing that you think of. How do we stop him? How do we make him not beat us? It's not what you're doing now. You're figuring out, how do you make Matthew Stafford not beat you? How do I make Cooper Kupp not beat me? And then maybe you'll get to Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has the best quarterback he's ever had in his life. He has the best head coach he's ever had in his life. He has the most dynamic offense he's ever played for in his life. And he's got the best teammate at his same position that he's ever had in his life. He could go bananas. He could have an absolutely monster season, and all he needs to do is show up and know the playbook, because Cooper Kupp's going to draw the attention. Matthew Stafford's going to throw the ball to the open guy. And you know that Sean McVay is going to find a way to get these guys involved. The Rams are not a one-man show. Ball goes all over the place. Look at Brandon Cooks and Sammy Watkins and all of the players that they've had come through there. Josh Reynolds gets balls. Van Jefferson gets balls. They're going to find a way to get the ball all over the field. That comes with that coach. That comes with that quarterback. That comes with that teammate. Of course, he's going to be able to demonstrate all the aspects of his game. He's never had an opportunity like this. This is, as a wide receiver, what more could you ask for? You almost don't want to be the number 1 option, because you're going to get the number 1 corner. You're going to get I get to fly just under the radar of our best guy. I got a dynamic, all-pro, borderline Hall of Fame quarterback, and I've got a coach. Like, I'll say it. Sean McVay gives you another 5 years, even kind of sort of like this. He's going to the Hall of Fame as a head coach. He might be there already. Yeah, I think he's going to be able to demonstrate all the aspects of his game. I can't wait to see it. Again, knocking on wood right now. Injuries, great equalizer. Once in a blue moon, there's bad fit. Once in a blue moon, a guy will show up and just not quite be the guy that he would. I wouldn't expect that to happen here. I think he's going to be absolutely terrific, and I think he expects to be terrific, and that's good news for everybody involved. Okay, so where is that trap game? That's coming up next. Let's talk a little bit about our pals at Built Bar, right? Do you love brownies? I love brownies. Does anybody not love brownies? But what's might even be a little bit better than a brownie is when you kind of inside of the bowl or off the beater or off the spatula or something, you get a little bit of that brownie batter. How about that, right? It is so darn good. And now Built Bar has brownie batter puffs. You heard me right. We talked about the birthday cake puffs. Now we're on to brownie batter puffs. And with 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and just 7 grams net sugars, brownie batter puffs are the perfect pick-me-up for any day. You like to snack. I like to snack. Who doesn't like to snack? This is a good one. It tastes great. You're satisfied. You're full. You feel like you got away with something, only you made a really good choice along the way. And they're made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. Here's how you order yours. Get on it. Go to built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get 15% off of your order. Let me give it to you again. Use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Brownie, coconut almond, just saying, my favorite. Thanks again for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and part of the Locked On Podcast Network. My name is Travis Rogers. You can follow me under that handle on Twitter. You can check out the Locked On Rams podcast on YouTube as well, the Locked On Rams YouTube channel. Get on that. Okay, couple of things here. I want to talk about that trap game coming up in just a little bit, but if I'm 50, okay, so when Top Gun came out back in the 80s, I was a teenager and I loved it. It was a great movie, right? You can see Tom Cruise and Goose and Slider and Maverick and Jester and all these guys. It's great, great movie, great action movie of the 80s. Now they're coming out with another one, right? The Maverick version of Top Gun. I am all in. Can't wait to see it. And I'm even more all in now that there's a Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford version of the trailer, right? Where Sean McVay is delivering the speech. He pops on the aviator sunglasses at the end. It's like, let's go, right? A movie I want to see, the coach that gets you fired up. Matthew Stafford's in it. Just absolutely fantastic. So anyway, I will give you my review of Top Gun Maverick at some point. And the Rams. I love that they're leaning into the Hollywood thing. I love that they did the little trailer release before the draft, kind of the heist movie thing that they did. Very, very cool, incredibly well done. And now they're just popping up in Tom Cruise movies. How good do you have to be? How popular do you have to be? How hot do you have to be to start popping up in trailers with Tom Cruise movies? It just speaks to how far this team has come in a relatively short period of time. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the schedule and where the opportunities are, the tough games are. They got 6 primetime games. They play Buffalo. They play San Francisco twice, Dallas, Tampa, Green Bay, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos. Just the schedule is a monster, and they're going to have to be in a little bit of a dogfight, over and over and over again. Now, like every team in the NFL, there are some games that you look at, you say, yeah, they should probably handle that one. That's one that you can kind of put in the win column and feel pretty good about it. You've got Atlanta, you've got Carolina, you've got New Orleans, you've got 2 against Seattle. There's some opportunities there, right? It feels like you're going to win those games. But there's always one of those games that kind of jumps up and gets you at the worst possible time, right? That you think, okay, we can just kind of think about it. Let's go back a couple of years ago. I guess it was 2 years ago? 2 years ago. When the New York Jets were winless. They're 0-13 or 0-14. They're getting near the end of the line. The season is winding down. The Jets haven't won a game, and the Rams were not playing good football. And you're thinking, okay, finally, they get the Jets. They can just kind of put this. They lost to the friggin' Jets. Okay, so it happens. It's the NFL. It happens all the time. So which of those games is potentially a trap game for this team? There's one that kind of, I think, is the leading candidate at this point. It comes in week 6. It's a home game against the Carolina Panthers. And because let's talk about what's happening before. You're not going to be flat on opening night. They've got the Buffalo Bills. You get the Atlanta Falcons coming up next, and it's still really early in the season. And if you win that Buffalo game, you're feeling really good about yourself, and you come out, you smash Atlanta. If you lose the Buffalo game, it's like, we can't start 0-2. It ain't going to be Atlanta. They always beat Arizona. At San Francisco, I don't think it's a trap game because San Francisco's a good football team, and they always struggle there. They're going to be up for the Dallas Cowboys. Those are your first 5 games. Then you get Carolina. You know what's on the back end of Carolina? the bye. You get a bye in week 7, a little bit early for the Rams, but you get a bye coming up there in week 7, and then you got San Francisco coming out of your bye. Okay, Dallas going into Carolina, bye in San Francisco coming out of Carolina. Carolina is not good. Carolina's still trying to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. They still got a head coach who's trying to find his way in the NFL. It does not feel like a team that is a playoff contender, but that's the one that when you look at it, you say, I don't know, man. That could be the one, because everything else, by the time you get to the end of the season, you get into the second half, you're looking at Arizona, New Orleans, Kansas City, Seattle, Vegas, Green Bay, Denver, Los Angeles, Seattle again, division games and really tough opponents. That Carolina game is the one you say, okay, just let's be fully aware. I know I'm looking forward to the bye. I know I'm looking to go forward to going to Mexico or Hawaii or wherever you're going to go, decompress for a few days and just kind of get away from the NFL. We got Carolina. They're going to kick their butts. It's going to be fine. How about we just make sure that we kick their butts? That's the one to me that feels like a real opportunity. Okay, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Rams. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check me out on Twitter, I should say. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.